Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video, we're talking about MAME, 3DS, Wii U, NES, and TikTok. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here with everyone's favorite multiple arcade machine emulator, MAME. Another month, another update. As always, I will leave a link to the entire changelog in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. There's a ton of information here, and we're really covering things at a high level. MAME version 0.244 just released. There are a couple of updates and a very interesting story. So the MAME team has somehow managed to add a new disc to Apple II. It's called Drugs, Their Effects on You. Now, I'm not going to read through this story because it might ruin it, and it's a very good read in my opinion. But at a high level here, it involves eBay and Scotch tape that was applied directly to the media and has been sitting around for about 40 years. So along with adding in new support for drugs on Apple II, there's a bunch of other stuff in this update. One of these items we've covered in a previous video, and that is Super Street Fighter II: The Tournament Battle. The Tournament Battle is not a great version of the game, but it is super rare. And it is now supported, allowing it to actually run in 8-player tournament mode. On top of that, they fixed a bunch of bugs. There are a few new working machines, including Hot Chili, and under new working software, if I take a look under Super Nintendo, well, Super Noah's Ark 3D is on there. Next up, we're talking about the NES, but not emulation, but something super cool. This is from Red Herring 32. It's called the TinyTendo. It is using real NES hardware and it's a handheld device. It will also be open sourced in a few weeks if you wanted to build your own. And for scale, here's the TinyTendo beside a banana, and you can see due to the size of this thing, it won't fit a standard NES cartridge in it. It will work if you have an adapter, but in the meantime, they've made these custom mini cartridges that look really neat. It's pretty obvious that a ton of work went into this, and I would argue that the results speak for themselves. Props to Red Herring for creating this, and also huge props for making it open source. If you're handy with stuff like this, if you have a knack for, I would say, almost engineering, well, this might be up your alley. Next up here, we're talking about TikTok, and I'm not quite sure on how I feel about this news yet, but TikTok is getting into gaming. I'll leave a link to the source on this one, which is Reuters, in the description below. It appears that TikTok is using companies like Zynga to roll out some games. If you don't know what Zynga is, feel free to check them out as well. They have games like Farmville. To be perfectly honest with you, I can't really see myself playing TikTok games, but to each their own. If you're interested in games like this, let me know in the comments below. None of these games have been confirmed just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or I don't know, 10 or so of them make their way to the platform. Next up here, we're talking about the 3DS and Wii U, but not necessarily emulation. This is more or less simulation. Some of you might have heard about this one already, some of you might not have, but we are talking about Pretendo. Pretendo is a free and open source replacement for Nintendo servers for both the 3DS and Wii U. Yes, you can use it using actual hardware. At this point in time, Pretendo is not yet available for public use. It's still in the early stages of development. And if you do have an extra 3DS or Wii U laying around, you will have to run their homebrew patcher on it in order for it to work. However, there's also going to be, hopefully here, support for CMU. And on a side note here, for those of you wondering, Pretendo is a completely separate network from Nintendo's network, and your existing Nintendo network IDs won't work on it. Not that they really need to. If you are banned on Nintendo's network, it really doesn't matter here. Now, in terms of progress, Pretendo is making pretty significant progress. I'd say just about 50% of the way there, give or take. They say 56% on account server, 50% for Spot Pass, 63% for friends, and so on and so forth. This is a big one. Super Mario Maker is sitting at 77%. In my opinion here, Pretendo is onto something massive, especially if they can get it working with CMU. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Let me know your thoughts on anything we talked about today in the comments below, and we talked about quite a bit. Let me know your thoughts on Pretendo in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.